As we've been reporting, talks for a diplomatic alternative to war between Russia and Ukraine are still on the table, but evidence that Russia is planning an imminent attack is building. Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke with French President Emmanuel Macron earlier today before announcing he will recognize two breakaway regions in Ukraine as independent. Both territories have seen a growing number of clashes between Ukrainian forces and Kremlin-backed separatists. The recognition could be used as a pretext for war. France's ambassador to the United States, Philippe Etienne, joins me now. Mr. Etienne, thanks very much. What can you tell us about the calls that President Macron had with President Putin, and what happened during that call that just took place between President Macron, President Biden, and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz?
The call received from Moscow was to announce the decision by the Russian president to recognize the separatist republics. We have condemned, President Macron has condemned this decision, and because it's an abuse violation of international commitments of Russia and also of the sovereignty of Ukraine. And we asked for an urgent meeting of the Security Council of the United Nations and also for proportionate targeted sanctions at the European level. You know that France now has a chair of the European Union. As you said, this is closely coordinated, and we remain closely coordinated with the other European countries and with the other allies, including and in particular the United States. Hence the call between President Biden, Chancellor Scholz, and President Macron. And of course, also closely connected with Ukraine.
And can you share anything at all, Mr. Ambassador, about that call? We understand that the secure phone call with President Biden, with President Macron, and the German Chancellor lasted about 30 minutes or so. Is there anything at all that you can tell us?
I think it was about this coordination of what we have to do, first as a reaction to this decision we condemn, and you have seen quite similar reactions, both in the US and on our side, not only condemning this decision, but also announcing reactions and sanctions. And then also to continue this close cooperation for what remains the most urgent, which is to deter a military invasion by Russia.
Mr. Ambassador, after hearing those provocative statements from President Putin on Russian state TV, does the French government believe that President Putin is genuinely interested in engaging in diplomacy at this point?
First, it is important to say that we had to do everything, and we will continue to do everything we can do to avoid a war. But this implies, as I said, in very close coordination between allies, a deterring action and also the use of diplomatic tools. Now, after the last decisions announced from Moscow, we have, of course, to react with these decisions we have taken. European sanctions and this urgent meeting of the Security Council of the United Nations. But it is not all. We have also to continue to be very, very clear and in the short term to deter any military intervention, and in the longer term to create the conditions for ensuring security in Europe.
Well, France has played a significant role negotiating with Russia. How would you characterize President Macron's relationship with President Putin?
Our president already back in 2019, has proposed this dialogue because, of course, to ensure security in Europe has to be done through engaging with all European countries and including with Russia. This dialogue in the last days has been, since you asked me to qualify it, very, very thorough and demanding dialogue on our side. We have made clear, our president has explained to his Russian counterpart what we could not accept, but he has also proposed to engage this dialogue on security guarantees in Europe. So, and the same for the United States. We have answered with proposals the Russian requests. So the Russian authorities cannot say we have not engaged seriously on this, but at the same time with a firm position.
You mentioned sanctions. I wonder what kind of time frame you and other European governments may be thinking of when you hear Vladimir Putin signing a decree that essentially allows these troops to enter those 2 breakaway regions in Ukraine for quote-unquote peacekeeping purposes. How imminent do you think a broader Russian military action could be?
Well, first, we have to react quickly. As for the sanctions, the targeted sanctions following the decision to recognize the 2 separatist republics, we want also to proceed very quickly. On the European side, we have to do it in the framework of the European Union, where France is holding the presidency right now, and we hope to proceed as quickly as possible in the coming days. As for a possible military intervention, we have been preparing already a package of massive sanctions coordinated between the United States and the European Union in the last weeks.
So are you thinking in this current environment in hours? Are you thinking in days? What is the time frame that you and other governments are looking at after hearing what it is that President Putin laid out on Russian TV today?
You mean in terms of deciding of our reaction on the sanctions we announced, or
yes,
on
and
the
also how
processes?
Quickly it is that there could be a broader potential invasion here, since Vladimir Putin has said that these peacekeeping troops are going to be necessary for those separatist areas. What does that then indicate to you and to other European governments about how quickly there could be now a broader military action here by Russia?
Well, we have seen since days and weeks the accumulation of military forces, Russian military forces. So all these escalatory measures are very worrying, but we are not, obviously, we do not know the next steps taken by Russia, but we have to do everything we can to deter such a military intervention.
Do you think that diplomatic frameworks like the Minsk Agreement, the Normandy format, at this point are realistic options?
Well, the Minsk agreements have been violated by Russia because the Minsk agreements had as a final goal Ukraine retaking the control on its border with Russia through a set of measures. Now, the recognition by Russia of these 2 separatist republics is contrary to the Minsk agreements. But of course, France and Germany, which are the mediators, which in the Normandy format, I'm sure will keep a very active role in the coming weeks.
All right, Ambassador Philippe Etienne. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.